Hello world, my name is Matt Spa and I'm a photographer, videographer, and a guy who's going to spare you having to watch my intro reel for this video. This is going to be a quick one to just explain a problem that I was having with my A7 III and the solution that I ultimately came to, and it's sprinkled with a little human kindness here and there. So, get to the point. I bought my camera secondhand, and when I did, it came with this NPF Z100 battery, which is made by Power 2000. It's an aftermarket, non-Sony branded battery, and every time you put it in there, you have to tell the camera, yes, I really want to use this, I know it's not Sony, etc., etc. I contacted the guy who I bought the camera from by text and said, man, you said this had two batteries, and one would assume that it's a Sony battery, and all I've got's this thing, and lo and behold, 3 or 4 days later, an Amazon package shows up with a brand new Sony battery in it. So, dude that I'm probably never going to see again, who really doesn't owe me anything, took it on himself to spend $85, I think, by the time he shipped it, to have that battery sent to me. So, a little shot in the arm for, fellow man, human kindness, etc. In the meantime, I had gone and bought a Sony branded battery. And so at this point, I had two basically brand new Sony NPF Z100 batteries. I noticed my camera would shut off occasionally. It would be working just fine, and then it would just turn itself off, turn itself back on, and the settings would be different than they had been when it shut itself off. It was intermittent, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And I kind of tried to isolate it, but then it would go away, so I didn't worry about it. Come to find out, it was, after doing a little internet research, of course, there's a series of pins inside this battery, and maybe I'll do some fancy B-roll, maybe I'll just really knock this out quickly. But one of the 3 pins, the little contact inside was slightly out of alignment with the other 2 pins. And so what was happening was whenever I used that battery, I would have the issue, thus it was intermittent. And depending on just how well it was seated in there and how roughly I handled the camera, it would shut off intermittently. It really came to bear when I was shooting a hyperlapse. I was moving from an upper parking lot to a lower soccer field. I wanted to shoot 1 frame per second as I walked down. Every single time, well, every 3rd or 4th step, when I would set my monopod down, the camera would shut off. And when it would come back on, it wouldn't be at my same settings. It would be at the settings that it had stored from the last time I had properly turned it off. Does that make sense? Anyway, the camera was going bad, was seemingly having all these issues when it was just the battery. I had actually called local repair place, and they wanted to, look at the motherboard and keep my camera for a week and charge me half of what I had paid for it. So if you're having intermittent problems with a Sony A7 III, or I guess any A-series camera, I guess really any camera, check those pins in your battery. My battery was less than 6 months old, and I got on a chat support with Sony online. They sent me all of the paperwork that I needed, a UPS label, everything else to send my battery back. And 5 days later, I had a brand new battery come in the mail from them. So dose number 2 of human kindness, people doing the right thing, makes you feel good. Love me, thumbs ups, ring the bell, subscribe, all that other stuff. I hope this has been helpful. And I'll see you next time.